haven't checked my camera, so hopefully I'm in the frame. Usually what I do is I set up my camera and I do a test recording, and I just check to see if I'm sort of in the frame the way I want to be. But I'm actually not using. I did have like a semi-fancy tripod, not really fancy, but a practical tripod that I was using. And I think as of late, I've just even the energy to unfold that and set it up and get it level. So I'm actually just balancing my phone on a plant pot that's on a bookshelf. And I don't have my usual microphone plugged in. I listened back to one of my videos very briefly. I really don't like watching or listening to what I record. And I've noticed the sound of the microphone wasn't that great. So I've kind of had an up and down relationship with sound, and getting, maybe a couple of years ago, I used to record on a fancy sort of almost a podcast microphone that had I can't remember what you call them now, that little sound box that you can plug the microphone in, and that plugs to the laptop. And but I no longer have that sort of available to me to use, and I don't have that laptop or the software to record, so it's just sort of recording on my phone. And yes, I've ordered a sort of expensive microphone. Yes, in the last few years there's been more stuff come out. So I've got a microphone where you can sort of hang it around your neck. It's like a really small microphone that connects to the phone. So that'll be really handy, and hopefully my sound will be a bit better. Not that it matters a great deal. But yeah, that was just bugging me a little bit, the sound. It was just not where I wanted it to be. I had a really difficult day. Well, just heard myself say that, a really difficult day. Probably was a really difficult day. So even in that moment, there's a bit of masking there, really, to see, how really was that day, and I could sense there's something in me to not, a quiet voice that says, don't make a big deal out of it, don't. And I guess there's pluses and minuses to that. Of course, I don't want to sort of dive in emotionally and, think, oh God, I had a really difficult day, and maybe that's okay to express it in that way, but maybe there's also some balance as well to not getting completely washed away with emotions. But there's the other side of obviously not checking in with your emotions too much. So it's kind of that sort of middle ground would be good, to acknowledge emotions and how like my day was, or how I'm feeling, but also it doesn't seem like there's a danger of me getting washed away, because often I'm on sort of that side of the spectrum where it's really hard for me to acknowledge emotions and accurately sort of accurately portray or express them. I find this when I was in counselling, my counsellor quite often slows me down, which is really helpful. And the counsellor will check in with me, and they'll say, how does that feel? How are you feeling? And it can be really helpful to just, check in with the simplicity of how the body's feeling and what's going on with the mind in this moment. Bring myself back to that and sort of, painting an elaborate portrait of words and narrative. It could be a story interwoven with lots of different things. But it's all kind of in the headspace versus, emotionally connecting with that in some respects. So I'm finding it's really helpful when I'm perhaps too much in here or not enough in the body, which quite often is the case. So yesterday morning, I kind of had a bit of a mental collapse. Really, I was planning to go to the grocery, to the supermarket in the morning. Drinking a green drink. I'll get to this in a sec. So yeah, I was meant to get to the supermarket in the morning, but I think I was brushing my teeth, and the thought of having to to walk there, and I could just feel that slipping away from me. It was just becoming more and more heavier and less likely that I would do it. And what I found is when I feel that, I try and allow for that to happen. I think, okay, maybe I can't go there, but I don't sort of slam the door on that idea. I still kind of check in with it. And so kind of after I washed my face and after, I showered and got ready, which was its own challenge, I guess. Thinking, okay, I'm going to have to shower, then I know that will take a lot of energy out of me. And then it was just almost, my mind was almost building a case of why not to go. And also energetically, I was getting more depleted by the moment. I hadn't slept well as well. And yeah, so I ended up just watching a series, and I had some breaks in the day. Like sometimes I played poker. There's a great website. I think it's called Casino. They changed it to like casino.org, I think, but where you can just play like free poker, and it's all kind of free chips. And sometimes I play that just to stimulate the mind, get me thinking a little bit, and so I played some of that. But largely, I just sort of watched. And it was a series that I wasn't really too invested in, and part of me was bothered by that because I was like, I'm kind of not dialed into it fully, and I'm not sure if I want to watch, but also I didn't have the energy to do anything else. And part of me enjoyed that I wasn't too invested in it, because I could just sort of sometimes close my eyes or rest for a little bit while watching, and maybe it made it less intense when it's something that, when I watch something that I'm not too as interested in. But there's a moment yesterday where I was kind of in the middle of that. Maybe I was trying to just do simple things, like I needed to refill my glass of water, and I just didn't have the energy to get up. I was just really, part of that was because of what I've eaten the day, I think, by my last vlog. So that had an effect of, and yesterday I just finished off some of the pizza I had left, and I did have a relatively healthy lunch. I had a pre-made sort of meal. I took some food when I often visit family. I'm often able to take some food with me. And then in the evening I had some burgers, and I'm trying to stop eating like these plant-based burgers because of just how much stuff's processed in it and how it feels in my body as well. So, but I'd bought it previously, and it was just all that was really available. And yeah, it just yeah, generally yeah, it was really hard just to get through yesterday. It was just, I was in this really big fog, and not just like brain fog and thinking, but just also this like low mood as well. And in the background, like a distant voice that was, telling myself, okay, perhaps I can do some writing or this, and then it just wasn't the energy to do it, and felt a bit helpless really, that dealing with lack of energy, fatigue, and then dealing with the low mood, a depressive sort of mood coming in. It can really paralyze you. It was really, I was just a bit disappointed in myself that maybe that wasn't quite accurate, but maybe just a bit sad that I just couldn't do anything about it, I guess. And I did think about recording yesterday as well. It just didn't seem to happen. I was going to do a recording in the evening, but so this morning I had the idea of going out to get this sort of green smoothie drink. I thought maybe to put some nutrients in my system. It's kind of an expensive sort of drink where everything's cold pressed, but when looking at it, I was just checking the sugar level, and there was still like 8 grams of sugar in there. And it reminded me, I think, maybe it was a podcast I listened to where it's saying, no sort of fruit drinks are that healthy in respects, like orange juice, or maybe in like really small servings it's probably okay, but generally speaking it's just a lot of sugar in that. Even though this stuff, there's like kale and things in there as well, but it's still like added sugar. So I'm trying to let that go. I'm still getting some healthy stuff from it. I used to actually make my own smoothies, like a handful of kale, like blueberries, a banana, some oat milk, and then sort of blitz that in a NutriBullet. But that always sort of takes energy, and I think in the past when I've bought the ingredients, I need to like consistently make it, otherwise it just quickly goes bad. And so part of me just had the idea. I'm wondering if I'm able to test that out really, to think, okay, maybe I can't make it sort of consistently, but maybe I could commit to 4 or 5 days buying the ingredients, making it, and then having a break potentially, and then maybe, I think sometimes there's that black and white thinking where I thought, okay, yeah, every day let's just have that smoothie for as long as you can, and then there'll be a day where I don't have it and I trip up, and then that may lead to another day, or I see the ingredients get bad, and then that. And I think I've had moments where I keep buying the ingredients and then I only make one drink out of it, then it goes bad, and then I buy the ingredients again, throw away what's gone bad, and then I think there's just a large amount of determination of the idea, but maybe not realising that, it's just not happening in regards to making it regularly. So maybe I should start on something more essential, just like having porridge in the mornings, because I feel like the smoothie's an extra, it's not really a meal, but maybe I should just start on like the three square meals a day and just put some energy into that. And I talked about coming up with healthier recipes as well. So yeah, maybe I can just put that on the back burner, but it's nice maybe to have that idea, not to fully dismiss it, but I think, okay, I can just sort of, almost like if there was like a big sort of whiteboard in my mind, just put a post-it on the corner about about the green smoothie, so it's not so, I don't have to sort of completely dismiss it or completely go for it in that sort of black and white way. So yeah, so I was it was touch and go with me walking this morning. I had my coat on, my hiking boots on, and I was at my front door. I stood there for about 5 minutes or more, just thinking, oh God, do I have the energy to go? And I was just trying to check in and think, and in those moments, sometimes it's like 50-50 if I go or not. It feels out of my control. And so I was just standing there waiting for enough energy to go almost. Or if there wasn't enough energy to take my coat off and stay. But yeah, there was enough just about to get out the door, and then I was really glad to get out, even though it was challenging because I go to like a main road and it's usually quite busy. But thankfully it was quite quiet at this time in the morning on a Sunday. So, and I saw outside of the little supermarket, sort of like a small one, I saw a homeless person there. Not even sure if that's the right word nowadays. I know vocabulary changes, and sometimes it's useful if there are more accurate sort of words to use. But I think I've talked about this before as well, where I used to enjoy or like just saying hello and asking them, oh, would you like anything? I don't ever really give money, but I try and ask if they want anything, like food or drink, and for the last maybe year or two or more, it's just the interaction has just been too much for me. So I kind of had my headphones on. I was walking in. I think I heard them say something, and it had to sort of deal with my own reaction to that. Whether it's some guilt that came up, or it's just so overwhelming for me to go outside to deal with being outside, and then going in the supermarket, which was really challenging because it's so small and tight. And I think on my way out, there was a person sort of looking at some bananas on the end of an aisle, and there wasn't much room to get through. So, or maybe there was, but I was hesitating, and then I sort of said, "Oh, sorry, can I pop by? Can I get by?" And they just ignored me, and yeah, I was just a bit taken back by that. It doesn't feel like, maybe there could have been miles away looking at that, and maybe I didn't say it loud enough, but yeah, and instead I just sort of tried to just squeeze by instead. So yeah, that's my morning so far. I'm just dealing with yesterday as well. Yeah, it's hard to put words to yesterday, really. Maybe on some of those days, I guess, you just kind of got to get through it, really. Just sort of just deal with how things are in that moment. And I feel like in some ways I did do that. There was a certain amount of presence in me to think, okay, oh, I need to refill the water, or can I get up and do that? No, I can't. One big bonus, I did manage to wash my bedding as well, which often gets left for a long time. I think I committed to the idea in the morning where I stripped off my duvet cover just to remind myself that I've got to wash this today, or I kind of had the idea. Then as the day went on to late morning, I looked and thought, oh yeah, I've got to wash that. And I wouldn't have probably washed it if I hadn't stripped off the cover. So yeah, I'm glad I was able to do that, even though it took a lot out of me to do that. And that was difficult. It just felt a bit painful to put in the effort to do that sort of task. visiting some family just to have lunch today. So I know it will be a lot for me because it will be a group of people. So I'm hoping the rest yesterday, even though it was a difficult day, would help and have a bit more stamina, even though it would be a lot to deal with. I may take my headphones, and it might be useful just to have them around my neck, even if I don't use them, but it might just make it a step closer to if I do need to use them, then they're there. Then I don't have to expend energy or thought to think, oh, should I get them out or should I not? And like in the past, I've had that difficulty where it's taken like 5 or 10 minutes just to get them out of the case, and then but I wonder if things do get a lot, if I can just say something like, oh, I'm just going to pop these on I just need 5 minutes of quiet, or maybe there's something I can say that doesn't make it. I'm sure that there is understanding there. If I was to say something, it would be fine, but maybe it's just my own, dealing with my own reactions to it. When I'm already sort of overwhelmed, it's so hard to pile something else on top of that. So even if, say, if I put my headphones on and it was really loud, I'm getting relief of that. Initially, there'll be the reaction of, oh my God, people, are they thinking I'm really weird, or are they thinking, oh, why is he putting his headphones? Or there'll still be that reaction to deal with. As I was walking back and thinking about doing a recording, there's still the sense in me that even when I record, there's a sense of masking as well, which I prefer there not to be as much, especially in this recording. In my podcast, there's a sense, because I'm in a sort of meditative state, to sort of be able to talk from that place. So there's generally a lot calmer sense in me. And I thought maybe I can try and speak from that point as well, but also not feel like I have to mask. So even like I'm closing my eyes now, it just can make it easier for me to talk. I do that a lot on my counselling sessions, closing my eyes, and surprising how much difference that can make. I'm hoping my voice is not too quiet or distorted for just the phone's microphone, but we'll see. I'm actually hoping this actually records, because I've had times before where I thought I've pressed the volume button to record, but it's taken a picture. So I'm hoping that's not the case now. But, It's really hard to plan ahead for the day. I'm not sure how it will go, but I do feel better for going out. I could feel my legs really sort of stiff and rigid. I haven't really done much stretching in a while. I did a little bit, maybe a day or two ago, just a tiny bit, just stretching my hamstrings or my calves or my legs, but I could sense a real tightness around my hips. So it's just, maybe there's something I can do about that, even if it's a light stretch, just to help with walking and making it a bit more comfortable. I've probably got to leave soon, because I did have the idea of like going to the library. There is a library where they have this great system where you can sort of go in when there's no staff in there, and you have to like do this little kind of not quite like a course. I think they called it a course, but it's just like an induction, I guess. So you can get that privilege to go in, but yeah, I just thought by the time I get there and try and dial into some work, it's probably going to be time for me to leave. So yeah, so I decided to go on a mission for this healthy drink instead. Just seeing if there's anything else I want to say. Yeah, maybe I'll take a couple of bits with me, just so if things do get overwhelming, I have a few options. So I've got to take my headphones with me. I'll take like a notepad and pen, because often that can sometimes help, just having some focus, so there's not a pressure to have to make conversation and things. So I can just sort of, do like a journal entry in there or something, or potentially writing some fiction stuff, depending on how overwhelmed or what I can do in that moment. But yeah, I may take that with me. Yeah, maybe it's good just to, as I end this now, it's good to acknowledge, to go slow, not just dismiss or forget about yesterday, and also not dwell on it, but also realize that after a really difficult day, there's still a vulnerability here. I'm still sort of recovering. So not to sort of suddenly go into fifth gear, and yeah, just take it slow and steady, and sort of err on the side of caution. I think that's the best thing.